Hi, this is Doug PSX, and welcome to another cool tool from the library. This is Studio 6. It's actually Studio 2025 version 6.25. And one of the things that's been lacking in Studio is the ability to control your playback speed without having to change your frame rates and all of that on your timeline, and to also reverse play. So if you're setting up an animation, it can sometimes get a little bit tricky. So um, I've actually written a pretty decent playback tool that we can test. This is the default swing animation that was put together by Daz, just loaded from your new scene, added clothing and stuff for the character. So without further ado, here we go. So here's the script that will be used for playback. Um, it starts off with your 30 frame. You can do snap to a timeline this way, depending on your play range for your animation, and it will be able to play, you know, your frames here. So we'll go ahead and play it back at 1x. You can change these settings as your animation is being played. Um, so let's just go over some of what we've got here. So your start frame, wherever you're going to start your animation from, it doesn't necessarily have to be 0. Case in point, um, let's say we're setting up this animation and we'd like to play this back. So as we're playing back the animation, um, at 1x, and this is using filament. You see there are a few frames here that um, there's some wardrobe malfunction that we may need to adjust for. And here again, so we're looking at someplace between frame maybe 10 and 40 um, that we'd like to make some adjustments. So we can actually step back through these frames. Let's just, before we make any adjustments to any of that, let's go ahead and play it back again, let's say at half speed. So this time it's playing at half. If we want it to ping pong, so when the character gets to the ground or gets to the very end of the frame, then they'll ping pong through. I should have used something less than that here card. The here is what's causing this thing to play back a little bit slower than it should. So we've got a reverse play there. And as you see, but we were taking notes as to about where um, we need to make some adjustments as far as the character is concerned. All right, so there's a reverse play, which would start from the end frame, whatever your end frame is, and reverse your playback, stepping through the frames. All right. You obviously have your normal play, you have your pause and resume wherever you've paused from. Um, you can step your frames one frame at a time. You can jump to the end or the beginning. You have the snap to the timeline as we used before, which would give you your full time range. You've got a loop, so if you'd like to play the animation over and over again, you could do that. You've got your speeds, so your quarter, half, full speed, and twice. So in this particular case, we know that we needed someplace between, say, frame 10 and 40 by the looks of things. So we'll exit here. On frame 0, we'll go and we'll hide the pelvis, hide the left thigh, hide the right thigh, and just so that we can get a half decent render on it, I'm going to go ahead and hide here. Let's see what we get from this. Let's run our script again. We only need frame 10 to say frame 40. And we want it to ping pong. This way at least we can see if our change that we're looking for is actually working. Actually, I guess I should have stopped this. Quickly here. Let's go again. Hopefully here is hidden. This is good. Frame 10. Say frame 40. We don't need a loop. We just need ping pong. And let's try that. Here we go. So we see from frame 10 to frame 40, everything looks clean. And we've got a nice little playback to test our animation. But wait a minute now, what happens if I want to see what happens when it gets to frame 48? All I would do is change that to 48, and it will continue through to 48. But I want it to go all the way back to frame 5. Again. So you can dynamically change the playback, as you're laying out your animation to determine if your poses are working as you expect them to. And if you only want the last few frames, you can actually do that too. And now you're in a loop. Small loop, but a loop. 56. And all the way back to the entire thing. And half the speed. Or a quarter of the speed. So some of these, it's kind of hard to tell because of, I'm using filament as my playback option here, or even if you're using, you know, um, iRay, it would definitely be a little bit slower in my case. All right. So there's actually a pretty good tool coming soon to Studio for all. And this is Tug PSX from Daz and Digital Art Live. Please let me know if there's anything else that we can do for you guys. Please feel free to reach out to us at Digital Art Live and Daz Studio forums.